Guys, welcome back to Quick Notes with Chris. Today we're going to be talking about the amazing book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. It covers a lot of basic principles that you can actually apply in your life today and start benefiting tomorrow. It's very simple things. It talks about how the compounding effect over a period of time is always going to be infinitely more valuable than any form of direct trading, and it's all about basically operating from that type of mindset, making sure that you understand about the future, making choices for the future, delayed gratification versus instant gratification, which is really all about, do you want the benefit now or do you want a large amount of the benefit in the future? The first thing that it talks about is a concept. It's called, would you rather $3 million right now, cash, directly to you in your bank account, or would you rather one penny that doubles every day for 31 days? Now, I understand that's a little bit of a different type of analogy, but if you've heard that before, then obviously you know the right answer, especially seeing as though you know the name of the book. But for most people who first hear that, they go, oh, well, $3 million right now. Just give me $3 million right now, right? But across a period of time, like a penny doubling for 31 days ends up vastly becoming way more valuable than $3 million. I can't do the math off the top of my head directly, but a really simple one is, would you rather $50,000 a year for the rest of your life, or would you rather $1 million directly? So across past a 20-year period, the $50,000 a year is going to eventually overcome the million and become not infinitely, but drastically more valuable than the $1 million directly. So it talks about basically thinking long term, understanding that compounding effects happen and it's always going to be more effective. A more applicable one would be like, would you rather read one book a year or 15 minutes a day? 15 minutes worth of reading every single day. Now, one book in a year, it's obviously going to make a little bit of a difference. But if you read 15 minutes a day for an entire year, that's potentially 15 books. Now, 15 minutes might not make too much of a difference. It might not change too much about you. However, 15 books across a year period, you potentially might be walking at the end of the experience a completely different person that can really shape you. You can learn a lot of different concepts, a lot of different things that you can apply in your life across a year period. So it's all about how, although the small insignificant things might not seem at all important, across a period of time it actually ends up becoming the most important thing. So a most important thing. So it's almost as if a paradox starts to be created. You see, like, if a small thing, although might not be important, but at the end of the result, it is the most important thing, does that then not make that the most important thing is the small choice at the start? It's a little bit confusing, but basically what it talks about is that these small, insignificant things aren't actually so insignificant. In fact, a lot of people start to view success as some sort of massive action, some sort of massive, decision that you have to make, some type of ultimatum. And although that might be the case for some people, it really starts very, very, very small. If you look at athletes, for example, like Messi ended up becoming an overnight millionaire at about 17. A lot of people started being like, whoa, that's so crazy. In fact, it's wrong to call him an overnight millionaire because it took, 14 years of training every single day, day in, day out, blood, sweat, tears, whether it was raining, whether it was pouring down, it doesn't matter. He was training for him to become an overnight success. So these small habits you don't actually see, these small investments in oneself that ended up compounding over time, ended up creating him, making him a millionaire. And yet people only see the end result and think, oh, he was lucky. Only see the end result and think, oh, that was, obviously it was he probably only picked up the sport recently. No, it was a consistent thing. Now, the thing about sports is it's a little bit more of a visible representation, but the true thing happens more and more with general success that isn't so much as glamorized. The CEO on Wall Street or the CEO of the Fortune 500 company, that would have stemmed not from him just being born into it or him just getting the job off the bat. It would have stemmed from the books that he read, the evaluations that he had of himself, the fact that he probably held himself accountable for the decisions that he made all throughout life, which ended up him developing leadership skills, putting him in positions where he was able to succeed, where he was able to lead a company. And it all talks about how these small insignificant things are actually just as important as the end result, because at the end of the day, without them, you'd never be where you are today. Now, talking about personal development and basically holding yourself accountable, the second point that it also talks about is owning 100% of your wins and losses. Owning 100% of your wins and also your losses. Now, basically it talks about having a winner's mentality. When you believe, and this is really tough, when you truly believe that you have 100% ownership of all of your faults, meaning that if you are successful, it is your fault. Meaning that if you are not successful, it is your fault. right, then you will truly be able to understand the power and the control that you have. There's another famous quote that I can't remember exactly who it's from, but if you have 1% of a stake in a situation, if you have 1%, then you have a 100% chance to completely change the outcome. That means that if you're in a group of people of 100 people, right, you have a 1%, you have a 100% chance in order to change every single one of those people's lives. And if you start to apply yourself and start to think of everything like that, meaning that no matter what situation you're in, if there was an opportunity for you to make something different, if there was an opportunity for you to change something, then you have a 100% responsibility in the outcome. Now, if you start operating that way, of course things are going to start compounding. Of course you'll have to understand that, okay, what can I do better? That type of thought. Every single time failure happens, rather than blaming anyone but yourself, and understanding that the only person that's going to follow you is yourself. You need to take yourself accountable, hold yourself accountable to the decisions that you make. Make sure that you're making the correct ones, and make sure that you're evaluating constantly over a period of time. Eventually you'll understand what you can and can't control. It also brings to the controlling the controllables, right? You want to hold yourself accountable for the things that you can change. The things that you can't, of course you don't. But anything that you can, you do. No matter how, if it's this much or it's this much, whether it's 99% or it's 1%. If you're present, you're there, you're able to control the outcome. The next one also, I've already hit on a little bit, but it's about small choices. These small, insignificant choices, and these small, insignificant events actually end up shaping you. So therefore, you should value these small, insignificant events. The next thing that the book talks about as a compound effect is the law of attraction. This is obviously a consistent trend in a lot of self-help books. And the reason is because truly is so powerful. You're so powerful. Your personal image of yourself, right, and what you believe you're worth is going to be your reality. Your perception is your reality. You get what you expect. It also talks about basically speaking things into existence as well. Whatever you project out into the universe throughout your thoughts or your words is going to be brought back to you. You're essentially like an antenna that's receiving radio waves, and what you put out is what you basically get in. The next thing that talks about, which also sort of relates a little bit with the law of attraction, is garbage in, garbage out, right? Whatever you feed yourself, whether it's mentally, like for example, like a physical analogy or physical like reality is that if you give yourself a bad diet, right, and you don't look after your health, you end up eating terribly, you eat poor food. That is eventually going to show compounding over a period of time. Maybe when you hit 40, maybe when you hit 50, maybe when you hit 60, right? Eventually, those small habits of food that you're doing on a day-to-day basis are eventually going to reap its harvest. So it's all about talking about basically your mind as a garden, right? Whatever you put into it is you're going to get out. If you care about it, you get rid of the weeds. You start making sure that you plant the types of seeds and the growth and the fruits that you want, you're eventually going to reap the harvest. If you don't, of course, weeds are going to start to grow. And just like negativity, weeds will always find a way. If you don't actively prune your garden, if you don't actively look towards bettering it, actively look towards removing the stuff that you don't want in it, it's naturally going to grow, because that's just how the human mind works. So it always talks about understanding whatever goes into your mind is what's going to go out. If you feed yourself negativity, you're going to project negativity out to not only like emotionally to the world, but literally like to the people around you. If you listen to a bunch of negative people, you will become a negative person. If you listen to a bunch of positive people, if you hang out with people that have what you're looking for, who speak positively, treat people politely, are nice, you're eventually going to be shaped to become one of those people. It really comes down to the law of environment, right? No one's anchoring your environment. No one's ever going to be above that law. If you hang out with 4 homeless people, you will be the 5th. If you hang out with 4 millionaires, you will be the 5th. You want to hang around people who either have what you want or are going where you want to go. Right? No one is above it. You are a product of your environment. You're a victim of your environment. No matter what, you're going to be shaped by the people that you hang around. So, if you operate as if you have owning 100% wins and losses, that means that you also have the control and choice by deciding who your friends are, by deciding who your peers are, who you're going to plug in when it comes to mentorship, who are you going to learn from. If you can grasp all of these concepts, by default, of course, you're going to succeed. So to summarize, right, the compound effect, it's all about understanding these small insignificant choices compounding over a period of time are going to reap a huge benefit. First one is, would you rather $3 million right now, or would you rather penny doubling every day for 31 days? All right, of course you want to do the penny doubling. Compounding is going to basically give you the most money. Owning 100%, right, of your wins and losses. Have a winner's mentality. Understand if you have a position in the stake, right? Whereas 1%, you have 100% opportunity to change the outcome, right? Which you should hold yourself accountable. Small choices end up creating the largest differences. So value the small, insignificant habits that you do in order to become successful. The law of attraction, make sure you stay positive, speak into the existence, and view yourself, get what you expect, right? Whatever you want is what's going to come. Garbage in, garbage out. Make sure that you're accountable for the things that you're teaching, accountable for the things that, for the people that you hold yourself out with. Whatever you put into your mind is what you're going to project out to everyone else. So make sure that it's positive. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much it for Quick Notes with Chris. I appreciate your time and listening, but don't let your improvement stop there. Keep going. There's tons of other videos on the channel that you can utilize to put yourself in a better position for success.